Well, hey, everybody, and welcome to another Grid episode. I am here with my friends. We're going to the dogs today. As you can tell, as you can see, Scott and RC are not here today. They are up in New York with the Photo Plus Expo. Scott's going to be giving a great talk tomorrow at the Canon booth. RC's going to be knocking it out there as well. And so Corey and I'm Pete Collins, one of the Photoshop guys, waiting for the lower third.
I thought you were waiting for the applause.
Yay! Well, I'm Pete Collins, one of the Photoshop guys, and I've got my buddy, my compadre, my cohort over there, Corey Boom Boom Barker.
What's up?
Love it.
And we're vamping a little bit because we're letting, there it is. She told me it might be a little slow today, so I was trying to stretch it out. So I'm Pete Collins. You can find me at petecollins.com. And then that is Corey Boom Boom Barker.
There it is.
Over at CoreySBarker.com.
Hello.
But we have a special guest here today, wonderful, amazing pet photographer, Kaylee Greer. She's come down here to hang out with us. She's from this area.
Yeah.
You went to school down here.
I went to school down here. Yeah. I went to the University of Tampa, just around the corner.
Yep,
it was
right down the road.
so special. What a cool experience. But I live in Boston now, and so I'm visiting, and this weather is just
I love Boston. I've been there.
to die for. I'm loving this.
Well, and as you saw, your website is dogsbreath.com.
Dog breath. No
Dog
yeah,
breath. No
just one
S.
dog. Not
One
plural,
dog.
just one singular
Just
dog.
one dog.
Okay.
Yes.
And we're going to have a great time today talking about the stuff that she does, but also we're having a blind critique. We've got a lot of people that send in pet photos, and so we're going to critique those, and she's a real meanie. She's
No
going to break
way.
your heart.
No way.
She's terrible. We got to watch out for it.
I can never hurt your feelings. I can't bring myself to do it.
And hey, if you are in the chat, make sure you send out some great questions for you. We're going to try to field those throughout the day, but Corey and I were doing double duty, so if we miss some of those, be a little patient. But
Deal with it.
Yeah,
If we
deal
miss your
with it.
question, deal with it. No, I'm just kidding.
So anyways, why don't we take a minute? Kaylee, tell everybody about yourself. What do you do? And give us a little blurb.
Yeah.
Well, actually, can we pull up her website? We'll give everybody a little taste of your website. I just threw that right at Meredith in the control room.
Well, she can go ahead. Well,
Yeah,
you want
you
to
start
tell us a
talking.
little bit?
Yeah.
She'll pull that up. Okay.
Yeah, so of all the things that you could be on this planet, I am a dog photographer, a professional dog photographer based in Boston, Massachusetts. Super, super grateful to be where I am and to be really busy hanging out with dogs every day and making all kinds of puppy magic in my photos. So excited to be here at Kelby One. I've been having so much fun today, and I have a couple more days down here. We're going to be filming a class, and so I'm just like super excited and so grateful that you guys have me.
Your
Thank
website's
you.
popped up, and hopefully people are gushing right now over the amazing shots you get there. You've become quite the hit. You've got a waiting list because you do a couple things I noticed is you grab the personality and you've got a great handle on the photography and the lighting. Everything is so crisp, so colorful, and so full of personality.
thank you.
You do an amazing job. And that's what we're going to talk about and we're going to be striving for today. So when we do these critiques, that's where we're going to be going with this. But so how long have you been doing the dog photography?
Oh gosh, it's been close to 5 years, but let's say I've been in business for about 4 now. The first year was really that, struggly period of just lots of portfolio building, lots of reaching out to friends and family and rescues to try to, just build my portfolio as much as I possibly could and to gain as much experience with working with all different types of dogs as much as I could. So really it's been about 4 solid years in business now, and it's been such an adventure.
Well, so how are you able to turn pet photography, which is mostly a hobby for a lot of people,
Right,
into
sure.
a profession? That's what I'm curious
I
about.
mean, I think that there is such a market for this kind of thing, and you don't even realize it. And I certainly never did. I mean, what a niche, super random sort of thing, thinking. And I always say that if like the 5-year-old version of me ever like found out what I would do for a living and for a career, I swear to God, I can hear her screams like back in the 1990s, So I'm so grateful. It's crazy. Dogs are such a huge part of people's lives. I
Absolutely.
mean, not everybody's a dog person, but I think that if you get into that passionate community of dog lovers, man, those people are really, dog crazy, and I'm one of them. And so, if I thought, I look at my dog and I love that little creature so much, and I think if there are people out there like me that love their animals as much as I love mine, there's something here, there's something in this. I mean, they have such a spirit and such a joy about them, and, a vitality, and, who wouldn't want to have those
no matter
moments,
what bad you do, they're always happy when you come home.
Exactly. There's like no greeting like the greeting of your dog after you've been away for
Well, and when I was thinking about this too, there's the other factor of just being able to capture them. They're a family member, but they're also a lot of times they're not around as long as other family members. So there's a very precious time to be able to capture that relationship. And so I could see it being, once I started thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, that's so crucial because the pets add so much to our life. I think it's awesome. So how did you decide, all right, this is where I'm going to go? Did you start taking some pictures of your dogs and people said, man, you're doing a good job?
I started taking pictures of my dogs, but nobody told me I was doing a good job because I mean, honestly, I certainly wasn't when I first started. But, that's the beauty of it, I think. That's the magic and all of it is like you might start out, just kind of dabbling in something and not necessarily being great at it, but with enough passion and time, you can turn anything, I think, into something special, into a gem. I mean, I've really honed the skills over the years, and that I can only go up from here. As much as I feel proud of where I am, I know that there's so much more room for improvement. So when I first started to photograph my own dog, I mean, the photos certainly weren't great, but they were special to me and they were important to me. And I would go to dog parks and just like stalk people's dogs and be like, excuse me, do you mind if I just photograph your dog? And it was super creepy and strange. And people would, most of the time, luckily, they would be totally cool with that and not weird about it.
Now, did you have your dog with you at the time?
No. This was a time where, at the time,
It's all less creepy than walking up to the stranger and saying, can I take a picture of your child?
Yes, exactly.
Especially if you don't have a child with you.
Exactly. Very strange.
Yeah.
My dog at the time was living here in Florida. I had just moved up from Florida, so it was sort of like an ex-boyfriend situation that we were sharing custody of this dog because we both loved him so much. So when I first moved up to Boston and started the business, I didn't actually have a dog at my side. So I had to creep around the dog park and be like, you throw on my 200 mil so nobody would like see me creeping in the bushes. And then, and that's not a good way to get shots because I certainly couldn't get the angles I really wanted and everything like that. But that's kind of just where I started to learn about dogs, dog body language, how to go about capturing them. I learned so much, but I started to capture them and photograph them. And again, not because I was any good at it, but because I was so passionate about the way dogs made me feel. And I know that sounds like, that is the most crazy dog lady statement that anyone could make. But I mean, here I am. It is what it is, So that's kind of how it started.
So, okay, so you started doing some of that stuff. So how did you grow as far as where did it go from there?
Yeah.
Because I can see you sitting in the bushes taking these pictures. So what happened? What was the next step in all that?
After my creepy photos in the bushes, I decided that I could actually, even though I wasn't super great, I could do something good with my photography. And so I started to volunteer at a local shelter to me, and the people there were just so amazing and so warm and welcoming to me. And, because at the time they didn't really have like any kind of professional level of photography going on. It was just lots of like, cell phone snaps and iPhone photos of these dogs that were waiting for new homes. And as much as the intention and the heart behind those photos was, totally in the right place, sometimes some of the photos would be, maybe almost doing a disservice to the dogs in a way, because if a dog looks maybe fearful or, potentially aggressive, or maybe just he's not shown in the best light, maybe he's shot or photographed through the bars of the cage. And
we're the same way.
Right.
How easy it is to look at us in a different way just because of the photograph. I can see how that could really influence whether or not people would be interested in a dog.
Exactly. And, we're such visual creatures as humans. That's just something that's like primally a part of us, I think. So when you're looking for something as serious as a dog or adding a new, family member to your pack, that visual part is so important to be able to connect with the dog, kind of look into his eyes and make that connection with like the soul and the spirit that's inside that dog. It's so important to help sell these dogs because, unfortunately, they don't have a voice of their own. So they're stuck behind these bars and they have no choice in the matter. Right. So it's like anything that I could do to try to help. And, again, when I first started, my photos weren't great by any means, but they did something and they had some utility and they made me feel
Were
so
any of
good.
our stuff great when we first started? No.
Yeah, yeah. So it sort of spawned off from that. After shooting at the shelter for a few years, my name sort of got around, and lots of friends at the shelter and other volunteers and employees there would go, oh, well, I'd like a photo of my dog, and I know that that girl Kaylee does the stuff for the adoptables. Maybe she can do it, and it kind of snowballed from there. That was the origin of it all.
Wow. Now, a lot of our viewers out there, probably in somewhat that same situation. Maybe they're shooting for some adoption agencies or whatever. How did you set it up so that you could now go from that I'm kind of a volunteer to this is my business, these are my price points and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Because that's where a lot of people get stuck.
It's
they've
hard.
got the passion, they've got they got some of the connections, but it's making that transition from that Kaylee will do that for free
sure,
to
yeah.
Kaylee will charge me X amount of dollars to do it for my dog.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people get stuck.
It is. It's a challenge. It's so hard. I mean, even today, 5 years into this journey, it's so hard to charge for my work. And it's so hard to, value yourself because I think that we want to try to stay humble and we want to try to, it's like the age-old, situation where someone gives you a compliment and you're like, oh, no, it's not that good. Or, oh, you look so great today. Oh, no, I don't look that great. You just kind of try to downplay it, or whatever. So it's hard to see the value in your own work. And to place a monetary value on it is very hard. And I struggled with pricing quite a lot. And when I first started to charge, I would do a bit of like a deal or a discount for fellow volunteers because I'm thinking, well, they're doing something great alongside me, so let's work together and kind of give them these beautiful photos. But man, my first shoot that I charged full price for, I felt like such a fraud. I was like, oh, when is this woman gonna find out that I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm charging her money for it? And I felt terrible. And gosh, I ran late to that shoot. I was stuck in traffic and I was like in tears on the way there. And I'm like, she's gonna hate me. I'm late. I'm not. What if I can't photograph these dogs? Oh my gosh, it was. And you know what? It turned out, all was well and good. All those hundreds of hours of photographing shelter dogs gave me the experience that I needed, to pull it off on that first shoot. And I think that as professional photographers, or, at least if you're dabbling in professional photography and you have this great gear, and it's not about the gear, but I will say that like with my first client, all she had ever seen up until that point in time was like cell phone photos of her dog. So that's kind of the mark that she had to compare it to. So I think I freaked myself out a little bit more than I really should have, because when she saw the SLR photos with the beautiful depth of field and, maybe they weren't the best photos I've ever taken. I mean, they certainly weren't. Sorry, Debbie. She's an awesome client of mine still. I absolutely love her. She still books me to this day. But, to her, they were the most special thing in the world. So it was a journey, but that was the first one.
Wow, that's cool. One of the things that we're going to take a break in a minute, and then we're going to jump into some blind critiques here. But one of the things that struck me when we were talking at lunch is how much you care about and know what's going on with the animals so that you can interact with them. And we really kind of compared it to kid photography. I almost feel like in a lot of ways you're the same thing, same type of deal. And these are like furry kids.
Right.
And you understand what's going on with them and how to relate to them.
Sure,
and I said at lunch, you know what? I could see me doing the pet photography. It's dealing with the clients that I would have a struggle with.
Absolutely.
And so how do you balance that? Because you're going to have some great dogs.
Right.
And horrible clients, or great clients and horrible dogs. How do you, as this has become a business, what's helped you to get through those times, or how do you react with the different clients that you have? Yeah,
it's a struggle. It's definitely a real struggle. And I was joking before saying, and I'm sure anybody who photographs dogs for a living will completely understand what I say when I say that if my business was I drive to your home, I pick up your dog, and I take him away for 2 hours, and I come back with magical photos, my job would be infinitely easier. But because you have to deal, you have to deal with the pet parents and the dog owners and the cat owners.
I'm sure there are many ways worse than children parents.
Yeah. Well, it's tough because dogs speak a different language than us. And you have to know a little bit about dogs and their body language and how they interact and how, just how they work, how their brains work. And I think that your average pet owner, while they absolutely love their animal and would do anything for their animal, I think unless you're talking to like a dog trainer or a behaviorist or somebody who's really, really in that part of the industry and has that sort of knowledge base, that a lot of people don't really fully know how dogs work. They just love their dog. And it's, and the dog works so hard to be able to communicate with the human. And so they think, they're on the same wavelength when dogs have reasons why they do things that they do. And there's different, different personality traits and characteristics and forms of communication that they have. And people get frustrated with that at a photo session. It has to be, oh my gosh, you have to have so much patience. And I think, in our world today, it's such a fast-paced world and everything that we want is instant gratification and it's right here and it's right now. And with dogs, it takes a little while. It takes patience. And you need so much of that. And sometimes it will take me, I kid you not, it will take me an hour, a full hour to get one shot off. Sometimes, and that's with maybe a more worst case scenario thing. But
Well, you were even talking about at lunch, sometimes the animals will be camera shy.
Yeah,
And you have to spend hours bringing the dog back to where they can even deal with the camera.
Right.
And that's what most
exactly.
people don't think about. They think you're just going to walk in, breeze in, take these great shots. But there's a lot to it that a lot of people might not be thinking about.
Right, yeah. And I think people, they get like a little bit stressed out and a little bit anxious if their dog's not perfectly cooperating because, they're paying all this money for a photo session. And I completely understand it's an investment. It's not cheap, and if you're spending this kind of money on your dog's photos, you want to get the most out of it. You want to get the best photos you can possibly get. Sure. And if your dog's not listening and he's he's not sitting when you tell him to sit or he's not staying, people tend to get stressed out and they go, Fido, sit. And they start to really, yell and get a little bit anxious. The dog picks up on that energy, and that energy is so important. And so they pick up on that, and then the dogs become anxious, and you get these different expressions, and then they really won't perform for you anymore because they're really concerned about what's going on with their owner. It's a tough thing, so I try to balance the energies, and I never want anybody to ever feel, uncomfortable or awkward. I never want to make anybody feel like bad or stupid or anything, so I always try to just very gently tell the owners, it's okay, like, it's not going to go according to plan. This is dogs we're talking about, and I say, like, the images you see on my website that you love, that you booked me for, don't worry. Those are not posed. Those are the most candid, whimsical moments that just sort of happen, and your dog is going to give us what he's going to give us. So whatever he wants to give us, and that sort of that joy and that whimsy and whatever it is that he wants to share, that's what we're going to get. And don't worry about it. Don't stress. It's not posed. This isn't, we're not at Sears Portrait. We're not going to stick him in front of a white backdrop or, the lasers backdrop or whatever and say, hey, sit there and look directly at me, It's all about dogs being dogs. And that is the beauty in it. There's magic in those little moments. So I try to really prep clients at the beginning of the session and say, hey, listen, this is a big adventure. I don't have anything planned. Nothing is set in stone, so don't freak out. We will do whatever it takes. We will get the shots. Just have patience. It works. It diffuses a lot of the anxiety and the tension if you make sure that set that expectation right up front.
And you've actually had to go back with certain animals, haven't you, and do multiple shoots just to get. Yeah,
absolutely. Sometimes it's rare, but you'll have a dog it's just maybe a super off day. I mean, dogs, just like us, they have individual quirks and personalities and characteristics, and they get sick. Maybe they have a bad day. Maybe
they get moody.
Yeah, absolutely. And or maybe you've chosen a location that unfortunately is just so not ideal for that particular dog. Maybe you have a location that's far too busy, or you had no idea that your dog was so obsessed with squirrels that he was just gonna chase the squirrels the whole time, or totally freak out that he couldn't get to the squirrels or whatever. So worst comes to worst, the beauty of it is unless it's an unfortunate type of like end of life situation, Typically, it's not like a wedding. Like, we can reshoot this. We can relax. We can totally reshoot this if it's a big old fail. And sometimes it's a big old fail. We all have big old fails. So.
Yes, we definitely do.
No worries there.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to ask you about your gear before we jump into the critiques. And then we're going to jump right into the blind critiques. So hang in there, check out our little ads, and we'll be right back.
Teach you so much great stuff about working with pilots, aircraft, safety, and most importantly, staying alive. So come along for the ride. Hey, what happened to the fan?
When it comes to flying drones, finding updated instruction that isn't filled with a bunch of technical industry jargon is tough. If you're looking for simple, easy-to-follow lessons on setup and calibration, flight modes and camera techniques for your DJI Phantom 3, you can find it right here on KelbyOne.com. I'm Mia McCormick. Together with John McQuiston, we'll cover exactly what you need to know to fly safely and capture amazing footage in our latest class on the DJI Phantom 3. So if you're ready to fly, start with us on Kelby One.
Well, welcome back to the grid, and I know you're going to be shocked that most of the comments in the chat room kind of revolve around certain hair colors.
Hair colors, yes. I'm seeing a lot of
hair color? Your hair
your
color?
hair color.
A lot of discussion. So clear it up.
Yeah.
What color is it? Your hair?
So it's called Cherry Bomb.
Cherry Bomb.
And it's from
okay.
Special Effects. You can get it online.
Okay.
Or at Newbury Comics, but that's only in Boston. So if anyone's from Boston, whoop, you know where Newbury Comics
there,
is.
but there are some
Yeah.
people commenting on her hair and what color it might be. So there you have it. So
Yeah.
in case you're curious.
Well, hey, what kind of gear do you use when you do your, now, let's say, what are you using right now as your gear for your pet photography?
Let's see. Great question. There's a lot of stuff, but we shoot with a Canon 1DX. I also have a Mark III. It's more of a backup camera at this point.
You love the speed of the 1DX.
Oh my gosh, it's brilliant. That shutter speed. I mean, excuse me.
Yep.
The frames per second. We're talking about action shots with dogs. Brilliant. It's amazing. I'm totally spoiled by it. It sounds like a machine gun when it goes off. It's amazing. But yeah, so I shoot with 1DX. I have a plethora of different lenses, but my favorite.
Do you have a plethora of sweaters? No, never.
Sorry.
Sorry.
A reference that went like this. But so I know, terrible. Isn't it worse?
Three
when someone
amigos.
doesn't-
Three
It's the
amigos.
worst when someone doesn't get your reference. I'm sorry.
That's right.
It's actually a plethora of pinatas, but never mind.
Oh my gosh.
I even messed up
amazing.
the reference. All right, sorry.
No
Back on
worries.
track. Okay,
so
so you have a plethora of gear. What's your main? Because we saw if she can pull back up, Meredith. I know I'm making you work over there. If you can pull up her
You're
website
making her push
again.
a button.
Yeah.
I know, really.
Push that button. Can you go back to the beginning? This is some of what you're known for is the dogs, kind of the big head, big eyes, action going on there. So what kind of lens would you be using? Not necessarily for that one, but especially like this one.
Sure,
here.
yeah. Oh my gosh, and aren't they brilliant, all bobbly like that? I feel like dogs are just like they're bobbly creatures. And that is my dog. This is the dog that changed.
That's your dog?
Yeah, oh my gosh. This dog changed my life. But yeah, so anyhow, these are shot super wide, as you would probably suspect. We're talking 16 millimeters typically. So this is 16 to 35. Sometimes I don't always use it out at 16, but I mean, typically we're talking 16 mil.
Yeah.
And I would love to even push it harder and go
Right,
wider. So maybe one day I'll invest in something a little bit even wackier. Who knows?
Well, hold on. Go back to the water one for a second, Meredith. Watch the little arrow. So this obviously is not just your regular gear. I mean, the 1DX
Right.
is good with water resistance, but I've seen you've got several photos that you've done to
Sure.
split water. You've got a whole underwater housing
Yeah,
set up.
sure. Yeah, I just got into this underwater situation. I was so enthralled by the idea of getting underwater with dogs because I love to photograph dogs in the water. And so they're kind of in front of me and they're splashing around, and I'm like, this is so brilliant. This is so much fun. And I love these moments with the water droplets and everything. But, every time I'm putting my 1DX,
Right.
and my whole rig at so much risk, and it's like heart attack material. And I'll still do it because I think it's so worth it for the moment, for the image.
Dogs are so playful in the water.
So worth it. Yeah, depending on the dog, they're like
Yeah.
super into the water. And so I thought, gosh, I want to get under there. I really want to see their paws like hitting the rocks or, what's going on under there. So how can I take it to the next level? And it just came naturally to me. I said, I want to go underwater. I've got to go underwater. And there's a pet photographer that most people know of named Seth Castile who does underwater dogs brilliantly.
Is it the one diving in?
Yes. Oh my gosh, he's unbelievable. He is brilliant, and he does dogs in the pool, and I think he does all kinds of other things too, babies in the pool and that sort of thing. But he just did the genre. He knocked it so far out of the park that it was like, okay, I don't want to take dogs in the pool because that has been done,
Right.
and he owns that. It's been done so well. I don't want to go fully underwater with dogs because as much as I adore that idea, it's been done, and it's again been brilliantly done. So what about seeing their feet and their legs under the water, but then having their big old goofy beautiful expressions above the water? I love that duality,
Right,
of the
right.
what's going on under and above at the same time. So yeah, I have an Ike Light underwater housing. That was the scariest purchase of my life probably because it costs so many dollars, and almost like not as much as the 1DX, but almost as much as the Mark III. And here it is, just a plastic housing or
Right.
acrylic housing that it doesn't have any functionality except for that it makes your camera go underwater, and it is really intimidating looking. It's extremely heavy. I don't know anyone who shoots underwater in my personal life or anybody in my professional life even that I could have reached out to say, hey, like, how do I even begin to do this? So I just took a leap of faith. Let's say I took a dive because that's like the appropriate terminology right now. I'm such a goober. But yeah, so I imagine I got out on B&H and I think I just put it in my cart and I just like said a prayer and I just purchased it.
That's jumping in. What about lighting?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you've got some amazing
Oh,
lighting
yeah.
on your images there.
Yeah.
What kind of setup do you have normally for your lights? External lights? Are
Yeah.
you using strobes, flashes?
Yes,
or what?
yeah. So I use a little bit of both. I use flashes sometimes, mostly strobes. And to sort of preface this, I was on location. My fiance, who I share my life and my business with, he is the most unbelievable portrait photographer, and we assist each other in both of our businesses. But I was on location with him, and we were photographing a model, and he had the beauty dish, kind of his strobes and his beauty dish and his beautiful lighting set up out in the woods, maybe somewhere or something. Anyway, I'm watching him photograph her, and I'm like, God, these photos are unbelievable, and this lighting is so special, and why can't I do this with dogs? I can do this with dogs, right? I mean, let's do this with dogs. Who does this with dogs? You know,
Right.
this is a kind of a new and different, uncharted thing. Let's do it with dogs. I don't know. They might hate it. They might be so afraid of it. I'm not sure how they're going to react, but let's do this. So that's where I got the inspiration. Was like, it happens with people. Let's make it happen with dogs. Let's take it into a whole nother realm.
That's just crazy talk.
Yeah, right? I know, right? It was a little
We
wacky.
talk
but-
about all the time here, raising your game and making yourself stand out. Who would, first of all, you've taken the step to really make dogs your focus, but then you've taken it the step further and gone, we're going to glamorize this. We're going to
Right,
do it
right.
a full fashion shoot for these dogs.
Because dogs
That's
deserve
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
They're so full of life and, again, like whimsy and joy. And, man, it's the perfect way to capture them, I think.
Real quick, can we address a couple of questions? Before
Yeah.
we get
Yeah,
too
of
far
course,
away
yeah,
from
yeah.
this? Because I took note of a couple of here. That one of them is any particular breed especially easy or hard to work with?
Sure. I try really hard not to generalize based on breed because I have a pit bull, and pit bulls are my, oh my God, I'm saying I'm not generalizing, but they're my favorite. And I absolutely love them, but they have a particularly bad reputation, unfortunately, and it's so heartbreaking. And there's a lot to get into on that front, so I won't totally get into it, but based on that, I never like to judge a breed because I don't like when people judge my breed, so I don't always like to say, oh, all labs are great or all Chihuahuas are hard. But if I had to say, okay, here's a breed I love and here's a breed that tends to be challenging, I would say Pit Bulls are my absolute favorite dogs to photograph. They're already bobbly naturally. I think, you know, with the big old heads and the little sausage bodies. Oh my gosh, they're like velvet sausages. They are the best things in the world, and they have the biggest
Velvet
smiles.
sausages, huh? That's a good, I like that.
And they have these amazing smiles. So they're really full of character. So they're really easy to photograph. And you know, and again, there's always that exception to the rule. But and then when it comes to dogs that tend to be more challenging, just in my experience, I've found that smaller toy breeds that have long hair tend to be more challenging. Maybe like, say, a Yorkie, something like that. Because they have longer hair, and it tends to, in the haircuts that they get, a lot of times the popular like grooming styles, like their hair is a little bit longer in their eyes, and the soul is in the eyes, you know. So I have a hard time with that, because if I can't see their eyes, I feel like I'm missing a connection.
So just like in people photography, if you don't get the eyes, you don't think you got it.
I kind of feel that way. There are a few select shots in my portfolio where maybe it's the back of a dog, or the dog is looking to the side, and it's kind of a special moment. But other than that, the eyes.
You want the eyes?
Yeah, I want the eyes. There's so much in the eyes.
All right, you got another question?
One more question. Yeah. Any suggestions for taking photos of a family with a toddler and a dog?
Gosh, that's
Duct tape.
Yeah,
Throwing humans into the mix. How does that
It's
work?
brilliant. It's hard, and you know, finally, I'm at the point in my career where I'm really grateful to be able to say to people who have kids and, you know, who have babies and dogs, I don't think I'm the photographer for you, which is, you know, a nice sort of out to be able to have. And it's not because I don't love kids or don't think that kids are so photographable. It's just that it's such a different world. And I'm
Solution is shoot the dogs and the kids separately and then composite them
I know.
together. Yeah.
So I think the thing is, I do think that the tricks that you kind of use on dogs, with like the noises and the getting kind of wacky, it does translate to kids a little bit. So if I have a toddler and a dog, if I'm making wacky noises, if I have like a kazoo and I'm making all kinds of wacky noises, typically the kid is sort of interested in that as well. So, I mean, just what you do for the dog does typically work, at least for a few minutes with the child, and then their attention span's like, peace.
Now, do you have an assistant with you at all times?
Yes, yeah, I do.
At least one, or sometimes more than one?
At least one, usually just one. If we're talking like commercial shoots or high production stuff, then usually about 2 or 3. But on every shoot, on every private shoot, one assistant.
Now, do you bring props, snacks?
Yeah, so I tend to keep my shoots relatively like unpropped. I like dogs and their natural.
Well, I meant for you to like you got your little.
Yeah, I got all
chickadee on
kinds
your
of
bird.
I got all kinds of cool things. So as far as the like kind of tools that I have in my bag to get them to look at me, there's all kinds of really super wacky stuff, and it's so funny because I think it's hilarious when I go to like PetSmart or Target or wherever, and I pick up like a new slew of noisemakers, and I think like, what cool things I get to write off as a dog photographer. How cool is this? This receipt full of crazy things is going straight to the accountant.
A lot of snacks? Do you do snacks?
Yeah, lots of treats. So I always check in with the dog owners beforehand just to make sure that the dogs don't have any particular allergies, or if they're gluten free. This is a whole new movement, So you got to be careful with that stuff. You have sometimes especially picky dog owners, so it's hard to sometimes please them with the treats. You want to make sure you have something that they're going to feel comfortable with. Dogs will typically eat anything, so they're not worried about it. But so you bring treats. I love to use peanut butter because you get such great expressions with peanut butter. Peanut butter will also keep dogs busy for a minute. So if you place them in a spot, typically they're like, all right, I'm all set with this. I'm gonna go sniff this cool thing over here. But if you have a little bit of peanut butter, like on their palate,
I'm saying, how do you put?
Yeah.
Is it a spoon? Is it a syringe?
My fingers usually.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, here's some. My whole gear is covered in peanut butter. And you got to be careful. There's certain kind of peanut butter that people will get crazy about because it's not good for dogs, and so you got to be careful what kind you use. And excessive amounts isn't great either because there's sugar and salt and all this stuff. But a little bit of it keeps them busy, so they will lick and lick and lick, and you get these big, great, hilarious expressions. Treats, noisemakers are in my bag. I have like I said, I have a kazoo. I have duck calls. A lot of.
So you basically got whatever it's going to take. You got a whole slew.
We even
You're
use
carrying
like
around
an
a
app.
sack of toys, basically.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have an app on the iPhone that even makes all kinds of crazy noises that we use.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Let's jump in. People are probably dying to do some some critiques. Here's the thing, guys, when you send in stuff, make sure you make it easy for us to download. I had a lot of people send in great stuff, but you couldn't right-click, you couldn't download on it, or they just sent their website. One of the easiest things for future reference is if you do a Dropbox, take the 5 things and send us a Dropbox links, then it's just quick and easy, drop it in and shoot them over. And so just a little FYI for the next time you're doing the critiques. But we're going to jump in and we're going to try to go through a lot of these quickly, hopefully not get bogged down. So, yep, that's what we're going to do right now. All right, let's do this.
Alrighty.
Actually, I lied. Let's do it this way. I'm going to go. All right.
Oh my gosh, what a sweetheart. And that's the thing is I'm going to love every single dog that comes up on here regardless of photo because I just love them all. And like, what a face. Oh my God. And I just want to preface everything that I say with, first of all, God, it breaks my heart to ever have anything bad to say about anyone or ever. So forgive me, but I hope that my comments will help, my critique will help people get better.
It's no jab at the dog itself. It's the
yes,
shape.
absolutely,
It's the owner.
absolutely.
It's the picture of the dog.
The owner. And then also, just for the people who do photograph pets and photograph their own dogs, even if your photos aren't the most magical, amazing photos on the face of the planet, the fact that you have these photos is so special and so important because they're going to be worth their weight in gold to you one day. So. You're on the right track. The fact that you're even photographing your dog in the first place is so special. So you're on the right track. As far as this photo goes, I love it. I mean, I totally love it. I'm not a big studio girl. I don't put a lot of dogs indoors. That being said, there are brilliant studio pet photographers out there, and I think this is really great. I mean, I love the lighting. The fact that you've placed him on, it looks, the difference between the monitors here is like a little bit different. So up on the screen over here, I can see that he's on sort of like a black, maybe dog bed blanket kind of thing. And that's great, because it doesn't distract from him. His expression is fabulous.
That straight on stare is cute.
You nailed this. Yeah, you nailed the
Eyes
expression. I think it's great. It looks sharp. I really think that there's nothing bad I can say about it.
Yeah, about the only thing I'd jump in is maybe crop the top a little bit. It's a little extra room up at the top there. And maybe tone down just right in this little area, the bright spot on his leg right here if we're talking some post-processing things. But I think you captured great emotion there. Let's jump over to the next one.
Again, beautiful, beautiful dog. I, again, am not a huge studio photographer, but that being said, dog is beautiful. It's another good expression. However, I think it's out of focus just slightly. The focus doesn't seem to be like totally nailed on the eyes. It very well could be because it's a low res photo, but it appears that it's slightly out of focus, which is it's so tough, with dogs are moving so fast, they do not hold a pose for you, and
this could be bridge sometimes is a little soft.
Yeah, it could. So it could be.
So we'll say make sure to keep an eye on that.
Just make sure it's sharp. It could very well be. So.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, again, a cutie. So with schnauzers, they're tough because they have a lot of, kind of eye goop, and when they have beards like this, they tend to have treats and stains and all kinds of cool things stuck in there. So, he's got a little tiny bit of like beard staining, which is totally normal. I probably would just work on it a little tiny bit and clone out some of the like more orangey yellowy spots that look a little stained.
What I love about shots like this is that it looks like he's right on the edge of saying something.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got
like
a
that
real
split second before he's going to say something.
He looks like a thinker. Yeah, he's thinking. And I mean, it's great eye contact. I mean, that's hard to get with a dog. I love it. The background, probably reminds me a little bit of a studio, like a cloth backdrop. I feel like maybe I want it to be wider so that he's not so tight to the side of the frame.
Yeah, especially on the left-hand side, you've got visual tension with that ear hitting right up on the side there.
Perhaps
if you
darken
brought
it a
that
little
over
too.
just a little bit.
Yeah,
and darken the
tone
background.
is kind of flat a little.
Yeah.
But you're definitely grabbing the expression, and that's the key thing, because you can,
That's so important.
those other things are little tweaks,
Sure,
whereas
yeah.
you're getting the
my
important thing.
Look at this face. I can't stand it. That's insane.
Every one of these shots so far, the expression is just dead
Yeah,
on.
you're
Every
doing a
single one of them.
great job getting the dogs to look at you. You're not grabbing like these half moments that are just the dog like almost looking. You really have nailed it. It looks like the same backdrop as before. We just pulled back a little bit from it. The apple is really cute. I don't know what it has to do with the dog, but it's cute, and it's a great like graphic
Kind of pulling
element.
attention though, because it's the only bright colored object. In the
Yeah. Maybe crop up from the bottom a little. just a little. There's a bit of a highlight on the chair. I know that's hard to avoid, but it takes my eye maybe just slightly away from him.
So post-processing, I would say probably to crop this in a little bit, maybe something like that.
Sure, yeah.
So that the main story is about the dog. And then watch just how it's, you're cropping off just a bit of the tail here. The difference between cropping and clipping, this feels like it's been clipped a little instead of cropped purposely. So yeah, if you could slide the composition over just a little bit, this way. It's like you want to grab it and pull it to the right.
Totally.
Would be the big thing. But once again, it's your expressions are dead on. It's just a little bit about the composition and a little bit of post-processing, and those are great.
Are these all the same photographer?
Yep.
Oh, look at this. This is bitter to me in terms of composition, just because I don't feel like he's like stressfully close to the edge or anything. He's not too tight to any side, and I love the apple. I'm totally cool with the apple in this one. I think it's pretty good. Again, I like dogs outdoors, but for indoor stuff, I mean, some owner of this dog somewhere has got to be thrilled. And look at the expression. Again, you have
Beautiful
a little head
expression.
tilt. He's looking right at you, so you're nailing that. It's just little nitpicky things, really.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, another beautiful dog. I'm just going to love every dog, every single face that comes up on the screen. Oh my God. Look at this. What an expression. It's
eyes,
so good. It's such a good expression. I mean, it looks like maybe a super anticipation face for like a treat is coming or a ball is coming or something. I love it. Not too much to say. It's a great photo. Tiny nitpicky things would be, if you were going to make this into a final, ready to go, super ready to print image, maybe just get in there real tight in his eyes and just clean up some of those small little eye boogies. It's nothing crazy, but it's the way I spend my life, photoshopping out eye boogies. It just, those little tiny touches will make a difference.
Well, that's what we were talking about. A lot of people won't think about it, but just those little things, a couple little dots here and there will take this from a good photograph to a great photograph.
Yes.
It's just those extra little things.
Yeah.
And maybe even a compositionally, maybe just a slight vignette because you do have a light border here that tends to pull your eye out a little bit, but wonderful image.
Yeah. Oh my God, look at this one. And this is my fave. These biddies, a pity mix or whatever. Who knows? It's beautiful dog. It's a great expression. I mean, he looks like maybe slightly scared, but it's okay. It's not over the top like a fearful dog. It's just a bit of maybe a surprised expression, or I should say she, because that's a flower on the collar, I think. So it must be a girl. So I think it's great. I think if you're the backdrop in terms of, and again, I'm not a studio photographer, but the backdrop maybe is a little bit uneven in terms of how it's lit. Maybe you're going for that though. And then again, just with the eye bogies, it's nothing major, but the quickest little cone stamp or healing brush on that little eye boogie would just take your attention right into the eyes, and you won't stop at any sort of the junk around the eyes. Oh my gosh, again, these dogs are so full of personality. I love the straight little beard at the bottom. Dogs like this can be really hard because of all that hair in the eyes. So, I mean, it's a tough...
All I can think of is 80s hair.
So would
Right?
you?
It's a
So
tough
when you're
thing.
shooting this, would you fix the hair, like brush it away, or would you try to do something in post?
I think I would brush it away because messing with the eyes in post in terms of taking a lot
Right.
of stuff out of them is really hard to pull off to make it still look like there's like life and spirit and light in the dog's eyes. So I would probably just squish down his nose tufts, that's what I call them, and just usually get a little bit of water and like squish them down. And it can be tough with some owners because breed standards are all different in terms of like AKC and how people want their dogs cut, and so you never know what the owner wanted. But I would squish that out of the eyes just to make that clear connection with this dog. Oh my gosh, what a great face. It's a beautiful expression. I don't feel like it's terribly well lit. I don't know if I don't know if that's coloring on the dog on its chest or if that's a shadow. Maybe it's the coloring.
It's
Right
like
there.
it looks like a patch of fur color.
Yeah, I think it
think
is
it's
actually.
coloring.
Yeah, I think it's coloring. Okay, I don't know if that was a big old shadow.
It does distract a little though.
Yeah, it's
It's
what
part of the
that's-
dog's fur.
Yeah,
That's the thing,
that's
but-
the dog, and so you don't want to change anything like that. But I feel like it just needs like a bit of pop in terms of just like maybe some curves, maybe a
Little more
little bit of
contrast.
contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just again on the bridge of the nose, there's just some kind of like just kind of dirt that the dog purely picked up in its everyday life. Of course, it very well could be the dog's coloring too, but I would personally probably just remove it.
Now, do you whiten teeth?
I do on some dogs. Yeah, it depends. On this dog, probably I would whiten this tooth a little bit. If I was being nitpicky, I'd want his top ear in the shot too. But overall, it's a good expression. Again, an owner would be thrilled with something like this. It shows off the dog's personality. I think this person is totally on the right track. Is this the same person?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's different because the background is so lit on this one that it's a little distracting to me.
It's actually a little flat with the dog, yeah.
Yeah, I just think that I look straight at the super bright white.
Right.
I mean, it's clean.
Again, great expression.
He almost looks cut out.
Yeah, you know what? A little bit. And because the background's so brightly lit and cleanly lit, I want the dog to be more lit. I want more light in his eyes. And the gold ring on his collar is not doing too much for the shot. It's just those little tiny details. If you can take that out, if it's easy enough for you to take it out, you might as well just clone it out.
Brighten up the eyes.
Yeah, brighten up the eyes. Put some sparkle in the eyes. Maybe add a little bit of do a curve and add some brightness in there, maybe just into the light parts of the eye. That always helps kind of make them sparkle a little bit more. It makes it look like there's maybe a little bit more light in their eye naturally just hitting it. Yeah. Oh, what a beautiful dog. Again, my favorite breed. So, I mean, right away, I'll say that the fence is distracting. Sometimes you're in a shelter, and sometimes you're dealing with this really restrictive shelter environment. And that can be so tough, and I totally feel your pain. But if you could possibly get further back from the fence or get the dog away from the fence and then, shoot this wide open, shoot this so that you really blur the background into just beautiful bokeh and just into color as opposed to having the fence there, it would just do a lot more to bring your eye right to the dog. Again, this is not totally your fault because it's what's there is there, but that white thing in the background, maybe it's a curb or something.
It looks like a curb or something like that.
Yeah, that is not helping. And then it's shot in some harsher light. It's not ideal light. Again, I totally feel you though when it comes to shelter stuff. If this is shelter work, you don't always have the best light. Can't always go there on the best time of day. It depends on their hours. So, it's great expression. The dog is beautiful. I don't really like 3/4 shots with dogs in terms of their legs being cut off right there. I like tight head shots or like the full dog's body, but, again, that's kind of nitpicky.
Aw.
What a sweetie pie. This is really nice. I don't think there's anything terribly specific that I would say. I don't love the background. The dog kind of matches the background, which isn't the worst thing. I guess if you're going for that harmony and the color, but in the top left, it looks like there's maybe like something going on, like a shadow of someone or a leaf or something going on the background that's not ideal. I don't love the crop because it's not quite square and it's not quite. It looks 8 by 10-y a little bit. I'm just not a huge fan of that crop. But as for the dog and as for getting a great expression, you definitely got. It's
like
shot
so
from
far,
above.
every expression has been pretty good.
Yeah,
dead on the-
It's always
people
something
really,
around it.
Definitely clone out the corner there, and maybe just darken up the background. Take if you're in Lightroom adjustment brush and darken up the background a little bit so that the dog will stand out even more because you've got a great expression.
Yeah. Oh, and another sweetie pie. So the tongue is cut off. So I feel like I want to see all or nothing, So I guess all of the tongue in this shot would be really great.
For all we know, that tongue is 3 feet long.
Yeah, right. I know with that dog, and he is so beautiful, or she, and it's not in focus. Which I'm so sorry to say it, but it's just not in super sharp focus.
Again, it's a
Well,
great
it could be
expression.
because it's shallow depth of field, so they're going for the eyes. But you would, let's say you shot this at 2.8, you'd say bump it up to maybe 4.5 or something to grab a little bit more of the nose because you've got so much fall off from the nose to the eye.
Yeah, and I do shoot a lot of dog portraits at 1.4, 1.2, so I do go crazy with that. So I don't have anything particularly strong to say about hey, use a different aperture because I do love to shoot wide open, so I totally get what you're going for. But you just gotta nail the eyes, and you can't just nail the one eye. It's got to be like both of the eyes in focus, unless it's like a total side profile type of shot. Other than that, it's kind of, to me, they're throwaway shots when I don't have both of the eyes in focus. His butt's kind of cropped off too, so I think the crop is a little uncomfortably tight.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if it's an adoption photo for this dog, it's a great way to sell him because he does look beautiful and he does look happy. This dog is so cute. And I love, again, with the licking and the tongue, I just love that. The background is muddy to me, and I don't like the random little green and blue things in the background. just again, super nitpicky. I'll probably say that 100 times.
And I never would have noticed before, but now that I see a couple eye boogies.
The eye boogies. Yeah, there's the eye boogies.
The eye boogie show.
Yeah, they're easy to remove.
And the cropping of the foot and the ear. Yeah, a lot of it comes down to composition along with capturing the passion and the personality. You got to just make sure, hopefully you capture, maybe shoot a little wider while you're out there and then crop in a little bit after the fact if you find yourself cropping and catching things like the feet and stuff like that. But those are distracting little things. You want to see the rest of that foot.
But, it's a good moment, though, overall.
It's a great moment.
It's a great expression. So, again, if you're trying to sell this dog for a shelter portfolio, for his portfolio, his modeling career, for his shelter profile, then, that would be a winner for sure. This dog is beautiful. I'll say that about every dog, I'm sure. But it's not in focus. So
The
to me,
specular highlights on the tongue are too much.
yeah, there's something going on there. I want to see this dog because he's black. I want to see him up against like a vibrant color, like some even just green
I like
grass.
to see the whole body of the dog too.
Yeah, for sure.
For that kind of dog, it's like a beautiful
absolutely.
dog.
And again, I know you're limited sometimes with your location, but I guess that's part of it is like really putting in the effort to get up and get out there and take the dog to a really green field or somewhere with a red barn where you can put this dog against something. Put in that effort and you will get back tenfold what you put in. Yeah. And it's hard with dogs because they can't go everywhere. You can't always find a location where they're allowed. They have to be unleashed. They have to be tethered. It's a challenge, and they get overexcited when they go certain places. But I think with expression, you're on the right track. I think it's. Again, just kind of honing in on making sure the focus is hitting correctly. I think
Paying
two of them.
attention to the background. And
Yeah.
just cleaning up a couple of things, especially the eye boogies. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break and we'll come back. We're going to do some more blind critiques in just a minute.
Create your own space at squarespace.com.
Hey guys, welcome to Kelby One. My name is Frank Doroff, and we did an awesome class on working on location. Now, working on location is not just dragging your strokes on location and just winging it. It's planning, it's looking for the right angles, maximizing your scene, making sure you have converting verticals, leaning lines, lighting, everything is important. So we went to some beautiful locations, including Amsterdam. So check out my class on Kelby One on shooting models on location.
Guys, well, we're back. And hey, for you Kelby One members out there, we've got some new classes that are live right now. I've got a class on there, What's New in Adobe Illustrator, CC. Check that out with me. Wes Scott Light Modifiers with Scott Kelby. A food photography master class by somebody that's just below the line of the teleprompter. So I'm going to assume it is Natural Light with Stephen Hansen. And tomorrow we're going to go live with How to Stay Motivated in Photography with Rick Salmon, and another class by me, Creating Characters in Adobe Illustrator. So how you can create nice little characters in there. But so make sure you check that out. If you're not a Kelby One member, make sure you go check out kelby1.com and find out all the great classes we have there. So, hey, we're jumping back in.
Let's do it.
We had a little tip on one of the things that you wanted to tell people about shooting portrait versus landscape.
Yeah. So I noticed a number of the previous photos that we went through were a lot of them were shot portrait or vertical, maybe a square crop, but a lot of verticals. And of course, whatever speaks to you most, do that. Do what's in your heart. But I just want to say that as far as from a professional standpoint, when you're thinking about social media and when you're thinking about your website and really impressing the pants off of your clients and people that are going to come visit your site. I think it's been said before on the grid that horizontal photos just they are so perfect for the computer monitor kind of ratio, and landscape photos have so much more impact. You have so much more real estate on the screen to use when you have vertical photos. If you have a dog photography or any photography business really, verticals are great here and there, and I have a few on my website too, but I really like to just like knock the breath out of people with the huge scale, really big photos that fill up the screen. So just think about that. You know, for impact, it might be best to shoot horizontal in some situations.
That's a great piece of advice. All right, so here we got a new photographer.
Yeah, and what a beautiful dog. Oh my goodness. I mean, will I ever stop saying that? Probably not. But so I mean, I look at the leash sticking out of his head first. It just maybe just a natural reaction because I'm a pet photographer, so I look at those things very quickly.
Well, the eye is attracted to the brightest things in
Sure,
the frame,
yeah.
and so that and these highlights
And the
over here are
highlights,
pulling stuff around there.
And of course, his face is, you know, the white on his face is the brightest thing, and it appears to be just the tiniest bit overexposed. Maybe, I don't think it's clipping necessarily because I think I can see a little bit of detail in there on the screen, but I think that you could pull back the highlights in Lightroom quite a bit and you'd really get a little more out of this image. Love the flowers in the background. That's great. You're taking the dog somewhere beautiful. You know, you're not just shooting it on the concrete or, you know, the dirt outside of your house. So you're making an effort to put the dog somewhere beautiful. So that's fabulous. It's up to you. I tend to avoid harnesses in photos just because they're big, they're bulky, they tend to be colorful, so they're a big distractor. I want to see the dog in his sort of natural state, clear and pure from distractions. And because the flowers are pink and the harness is red, it's just, I wish it wasn't there. A gorgeous dog. So there's nothing to be said about how beautiful that dog is besides that dog is ridiculously beautiful. So beautiful. Same dog. This looks like it was shot inside. It looks like flash was used. And you can see that dogs have this thing in the back of their eye called a tapetum lucidum, and that's what enables dogs to see so incredibly well in the dark because it reflects light kind of better than our eyes do, which is why when you look at a dog in the dark, if you catch him at the perfect moment, you'll see kind of a blue sheen or like a green sheen looking at you. And you see that in wildlife too. If you ever catch like a deer on the side of the road or something, you know you're seeing it because, you know, you've got that eye shine. So when you use flash, that's kind of more of a direct like on-camera flash type of thing, you get a little bit of that blue eye, green eye. This isn't super bad. I don't see any like blue really, but I think it's borderline on the way there. So try to avoid that. On-camera flash really isn't super flattering for anybody, not even really for dogs. I see that he's inside. I see that there's some kind of a background, maybe like some stuff inside your house.
Yeah, this one feels more kind of like you captured a snapshot of the dog.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
more candid.
And it's busy background. So
Yeah.
if this is going to be a portrait, you'd want to crop in to get rid of some of that or change the angle so that you don't get quite so much stuff
Right.
on the
Looks
background.
like an on-camera flash. Too.
Yeah, it does, yeah. And oh my gosh, again, this dog is so beautiful. So I'm gonna assume that this is this person's dog, and what a gorgeous subject to have. So practice on this dog for sure. That dog is only gonna get more beautiful as it grows. But you know, if you do want to pursue pet photography as a career, or you want to put it out there professionally, obviously you want to have variety in your portfolio. You know, try to use one dog, maybe just, you know, maybe 2 or 3 times. Don't go crazy overload on one dog because it tells people like, hey, I'm an amateur. I only have my dog to practice on. I don't know, you know, I don't know anybody with dogs that I can use otherwise, or, you know, whatever's clever. So just be aware of that. I think, you know, if you're just starting, it's totally fine to use the same dog over and over, but different dogs will give you different challenges. So definitely, you know, try that out. And again, this shot is beautiful dog, but the paws are cropped off and it's inside on sort of a busy background again. So I wouldn't say that this is of like a professional level that you'd want to show in a portfolio or anything. Beautiful expression, beautiful ears, but because you've got the different colors underneath him and the different colors behind him and then some stuff on the floor, I would say try this shot again in some like really perfect, beautiful, clean green grass, or try this in the flowers, something like that, you know? And this is beautiful dog again. I guess I'll never stop saying that. But it looks a bit more like an iPhone photo, I suppose. It doesn't seem like super in focus to me. The puppy is beautiful. Any photo that you know, if you point your lens at that dog in any way, it's gonna be beautiful in the sense that dog is so gorgeous. But I think, you know, you could improve on, try to look for better backgrounds, try to take that dog outside and try to nail the focus a little better. And make sure when you're photographing dogs, if you have a sort of an autofocus situation going on in terms of like the full bracketing and you're having the camera pick focus for you, you got to be super careful because naturally the camera is usually going to pick the thing that's kind of the biggest thing in the frame, the closest to the camera. And with dogs, it almost always picks the snout because of the way their faces are set up. Their snout's closer to you. So you want to actually make sure, try to be aware of shooting on a single focus point and put that single focus point directly on the eyeball, right there on the eye. And I mean, even then, it's not foolproof because they're moving around and stuff, but it helps you snag that focus perfectly, and then you really have a winning photo.
Good point. All right, next photographer here.
Yeah, this is different. It's different. It's definitely cool. It's blue. This dog is very blue. I can't tell for sure. It could be a composite. I'm not totally sure. I like that it's different.
That or it's heavily processed.
Yeah.
Especially with bringing out the eye and it really.
Yeah, it's
I see the
definitely-
drama they're going for.
It's definitely heavily processed, but it's different though, and it's cool if it's your dog.
And one of the things we talked about,
that's okay.
with an image is it's telling a story. And the thing that I would say with this, the processing and stuff doesn't bother me too much, but it feels like an unfinished story because it's divided almost perfectly in half, but then it just fades into darkness over here, and there's no payoff for what's going on with this dog into this, because you want to interact with the scene. We've kind of got left with the unfinished symphony over here. That would be a little bit for me.
Maybe it's about the mystery, about what he's looking at over there. It's nice for you. I wouldn't think it would be a portfolio piece, but man, this dog is beautiful. It's a beautiful moment that would have been something so special from the front, I think. Maybe from almost underneath him, like get on one of those lower stairs.
Yeah.
And, kind of shoot up at his
Right.
big old eyes looking right at you. I say, like, looking right into your soul. That's what I say whenever I get, like, nail a portrait of a dog, and I say, he's looking right into my soul. But his paw's cut off. It's a little too tight. It's vertical. That's okay. I mean, vertical's not, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. It's just...
It can work. It's just,
Yeah, definitely. And again, there's a fence or something in the background. Maybe this was on your front steps, and that's just kind of what's back there. But it's also not shot at the right time of day. Try to be aware. Just go outside with your dog at golden hour, and you will just flip over the light that comes through their hair. They're the most special creatures for photographing at that golden hour, and the light is all magical and sparkly. The shadows are harsh in this photo. Oh my gosh, I just love cats. I don't photograph a lot of cats. They tend to be super challenging, so I give you so many kudos for photographing them.
Somebody did ask that question earlier. Do you shoot anything other than dogs?
Yeah, I do, but not super often. I photograph sometimes horses, cats. I photograph a lot at my the local MSPCA where I volunteer, and they have all kinds of amazing animals there. So pigs and donkeys and all kinds of things.
I have a couple of cats myself, and just even candid shooting is a challenge.
Yeah,
I can't
definitely.
imagine I can't imagine doing an actual photo shoot with a cat.
Cats are a whole different breed.
Cats are going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
They can't typically
You
be
got to wait
swayed.
for them. They're not going to wait for you.
It depends on the cat, but yeah. So I think the cat is beautiful. I'm not jiving with the colors like the big red and the green, just because it distracts me from him. I'd love to see him on like a cleaner backdrop. I think the light is a little harsh. I mean, it's. I like as cat photos go. If this was framed in your house, it's a nice cat photo. It's just maybe not something.
Well, even if you just cropped a little bit here and got rid of predominantly that red, it would help
Yeah,
to
maybe, yeah.
just a crop into here would give it be more about the cat and less about this red distraction over here. And then a couple little goobers
Yeah,
over
just
there.
goobers, yeah. And I see that it's window light, and it could be really, really nice. Maybe just like an hour later, maybe just a little less harsh.
And also the thing about it is like sometimes you just catch pets in a moment, and people just want to hurry up and catch it. They're not even really thinking about the things around it, And sometimes you can control that, sometimes you can't. So sometimes, and like you said, if it's your pet, you're gonna take the picture regardless. So.
Yeah. Cute moment. It's cool to get a cat's tongue out. That's not super easy.
Peanut butter up the nostril.
Right? Yeah. I don't even know. I wouldn't truly know. I guess lots of like fancy treats. I don't know what cats like. I'm not a super pro on cats, but the ear. Yeah. It's the ear is cropped off. The background isn't unbelievable, but the fact that you have a cat on his back with a tongue out is pretty good.
Yeah, good.
I'm not a pro on cats, so I will say that I think it's super cute. But I like this a lot. I love the detail in the eye, and
For a minute there, I couldn't even tell what that was. It's a horse.
yeah, horse's eye, and it's beautiful, and the little bangs, like the little wispy hairs. I might just maybe remove that one hair in Photoshop.
The one that goes across the
Just
eye
the
there.
one, yeah. If you could remove that, I know that it might be a little advanced for some people who aren't super into photoshopping things yet, but it wouldn't be terribly hard to remove that. And I just don't love the darker part on the left, which is maybe a fence or a hard shadow or something. That's a little distracting. It needs to be, it's almost good light, but it's not good light yet. It's getting there, but I don't think it's good light yet. Oh yeah, see, it's not totally perfect, but that's the idea, yeah. That's the idea.
But so once again, I think the big thing is to pay attention to the little things around to see how they influence the composition, how it goes. Once again, you got the hair here. It's great getting the eye and the expression. I mean, look at the expression of the bags under the eyes. I guess horses have bags.
Yeah, I guess so.
But then you're fighting. You want to see the eyeball through that hair there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I get the idea with the wispy hair in his face again. It's really beautiful. I don't have a ton to say about horse images, and I feel bad about that. But I do like this. It moves me a little bit, and that's what a good image should do.
It's different.
Well, and one judgment is when you look at an image, do you want to just take it and move it around a little bit? It's like, I want to go a little bit more in the front of this horse. I want to engage that eye more.
Yeah.
It's like he's looking past me. And that's a way that you can kind of question the composition. If you swung around to the right just a little bit more, you'd be able to engage with this horse in a different manner. All right?
Yeah, I agree.
Y'all got to keep track of the numbers. There we go. Oh, we got a combo.
All right, so we got humans and pets.
Now, do you do shots with humans and pets?
Yeah, I do. Not a ton, but I'm always happy to, at every session, to include the owners if they're interested in being, in one or two special shots with their dog. And this, I think now again, I'm not a portrait photographer. I don't work with people terribly often. The woman looks a little bit Photoshoppy, I guess, in her face, maybe. Yeah, a little stiff,
maybe a little softened up.
Yeah, a little bit. I think her eyes look like they've been really messed with. I want to see more, maybe a better. It looks like she's in shade, and maybe it's not like a super sparkly golden hour. So I think that she would love this. Again, I think that the client would be thrilled with this. She looks great. The dog is adorable. It's not something that totally wows me, but I think maybe just more kind of color in the background. Maybe more interaction between the woman and the dog. I like to get candid moments with people looking at their dog and, just kind of natural moments, laughing and smiling. But for a posed shot, I'm sure this woman loved this photo.
Well, and this dog, if we could have this dog turn to us a little bit, it's looking off the screen kind of in this direction here. If it was engaged with us, that would be a winner there. And then just remember, your edges mean so much. They're part of the image, and how this finger is hitting that edge, the paw is cut off, and even this arm down this side right here all create a visual tension for the viewer that wants to just slide her over and up just a little bit. So just be aware of that.
We got another portrait of a person and a dog. The dog isn't looking, so that's the first thing that I notice, and I just don't feel any connection with that dog. He looks also like he's got the open panty mouth, like maybe he's a little stressed and he's not super in love with the situation that's happening. So the woman looks great, and that's...
He almost looks like he's photobombing.
A little bit, yeah, like maybe he wasn't totally intentional. Yeah. So yeah, and the woman looks great, and that's the nice thing about people is they'll listen to you. You can speak to them in English, and they'll go, "Oh, okay, I will hold this pose and I will smile until you get the shot." And so the nice thing about it is they're willing to do that for you. So work with the dog while she's holding that smile. Say to her, "Okay, you look great. You hold that pose. Now let me work on getting Fido to look at me." So just keep that in mind. This is, I'm sure this woman loved the photo. She's very photoshopped.
I was going to say, that looks...
She's a little over-processed. Her eyes are too bright, and the skin's just a little too soft there. But there's a great, in a sense, interaction where she's placed with the horse as far as compositionally.
Right.
But, yeah, she's just a little too over-processed.
The white of those eyes is too much.
Yeah, and I think her teeth have been quite whitened. Oh, my gosh.
Compositionally, overall, it's a nice shot, but it just a little too much processing.
There's some stuff on the screen up there. Is that like a curtain behind the dog, you think?
Yeah, it looks like a curtain.
Okay, so I think if I'm seeing things correctly, it looks like a bit of a backdrop or a curtain behind the dog, which I can see pretty clearly. So if you're going to go for that, super blacked out background, just, really go for it. But the dog is beautiful.
It's like a dog a supervillain would have.
Right? Look at his haircut. I know. And that's a great expression. And I think, I think the lighting could be refined a little bit. I think it's probably like, it's quite bright on his white highlights. It's hard to light white dogs, and black dogs too, for that matter. So I think it's a good effort. But again, there's a lot of crops that are like square or 8 by 10-ish today. So it's cute. It doesn't like totally move me. Oh, interesting. Is this just a
It's like
a
two
pullback?
different versions. Yeah,
Oh,
I guess so.
interesting. So this is the crop, and then this is the pullback. I do like the pullback version, I think, a little bit more. I don't love that I can see, like, the curtain that's so clearly in the background. Yeah, there's, like, a bit of a fold by his feet. Again, he's one of those dogs that has a bit of a, a beard, like a colorful beard, because, I mean, there's nothing you can do to avoid that on white dogs. So see if you can try to lighten that up and clean it up a little bit. Oh, so cute. Okay, I love this photo. This dog's eye is not in focus. And sometimes I think the moment trumps the technical. So I think that that I should have been in focus. It would be the tiniest bit more impactful for me if it was. That being said, like, this is the cutest, creepiest little creeper dog ever.
It doesn't take away from the shot.
Yeah. He's like, oh, here I am, around the corner. What do you got for me? Or, he looks like maybe he's not supposed to be there.
This is where the story trumps the technique.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's a good story, a good feeling. I get a good feeling from this. I love it.
And one of the things you do post-processing, maybe a little bit crop in here, but then darken down this bright area here and blur this a little bit. Our eyes are drawn to text and bright things, and so our eyes are jumping over here. The story's right in here, but that would be the biggest thing, I would say, compositionally.
Aww. So this dog looks like he's walking right towards you, and he's totally engaged with you. Which is great. So good expression on the dog. If you can catch it, obviously it's best to have the paw and the tail in there. It looks like the blues have been really, really pushed hard in the background.
Look at the blue of the trees and along
Yeah.
the edge of the tail. It looks a little odd.
Yeah, I
just
think
got
it's
some
just been
chromatic
really,
aberration.
really pushed pretty hard. So just try to keep it, I guess, a little bit more natural in terms of that, because it definitely looks, kind of heavily edited. But I love the expression, and the dog is gorgeous. Oh my gosh, this is so great. This has got to be the creeper dog from the first photo. What a great photo. I really like it. Now, again, it could be what we're viewing it in, but it doesn't look like it's terribly in focus. However, again, the moment is really special.
I like that you can see in the shot what he's staring at.
Yes, exactly. That's really special that he's like, oh, here comes this, and the snow on the nose, like, what a great moment. Because when dogs get snow on their noses, like, they'll have it on there for like one magical second, and then they tend to shake it off. So you definitely caught a good moment there. If you could almost, I don't know exactly what Pete's up to over here, but I will say in the top left you can see, I guess maybe it's some mud or something. Yeah, if you could even clone the snow out like quite easily, because white is so easy to clone. So you could grab some of that and just clone it out and just like fill up that frame with white. So your eye goes right to that dog as opposed to the like kind of dirty brown stuff. But I really think you have a really good sense of like what moments are special, because so far the moments in all these photos are really good. That's kind of what I go for, is that not like super. So that's the general idea. Fill it up with light.
I'm trying to draw on a trackpad, so it was fighting
I know,
a little
no
bit.
worries.
But yeah, I agree. Great expression.
Great expression.
And then
Oh man! And again, great expression.
This dog's a winner.
Yep. Totally.
Compositionally cut off right here, bring it more into this area here, because this extra stuff over here doesn't add to the story. I think the leash and stuff bring you into the dog, but then you've got kind of this thing floating out here.
I love how everything's practically out of focus except the dog's face.
Yeah, and his eyes look,
You got the eyes on that one.
You've got the eyes and sharp, and again, just if you can learn leash removal. Oh my God, I can't even finish my sentence because of this face. I wonder if this is all the same dog, and as he grows, it must be.
It was a puppy.
So yeah, this one's super easy fix. Just remove that orange collar. Just the way that it's sticking out. It's adorable that it's way too big for him, but it doesn't help the image. So just take that out. Luckily, he matches your floor like gorgeous. So you're all good there. I mean, that's a beautiful background if you're gonna do something in your house. I love your style of processing. It's very different from what I do in my own work, but it's that really beautiful, sort of nostalgic type of processing, and I totally think it works. You have more of a story to your images. I think there's a sense of story to them.
All right, we're going to go quick through these.
All right, cool. So we'll go quick. His paw is cut off. But other than that, it's really cute. The head down on the floor is like always, it'll get you every time. It's very cute. And clearly he loves that ball. I can sense that. It's quite grainy.
Raise it.
Yeah, his back's cut off. Straighten him, just fix the composition a little bit. But I like how low you are. This is cool.
like
Yeah,
that.
this is cool. What a great trick. And you've got the eye pretty sharp. It's a cute trick that he knows, and I like the composition where you have half of his face. Beautiful light in his eyes. Beautiful, beautiful light in his eyes. And you can see how the light is in both of his eyes. And sometimes when I'm photographing a dog, like with window light or something, or just natural light, you'll get one eye that's really well lit by the fall off of the natural light, but then the other eye is super dark, and I can't use it because I feel like I need to see both eyes. I love it. I love it. He looks regal. It's beautiful.
Just watch clipping that ear, but a beautiful picture.
Beautiful dog,
wow,
beautiful
this is
picture.
great.
Also very special. I don't know. It really could just be the monitor. There's something going on. I don't know if it's cloning or something. I kind of see that in the background. Sorry, it's kind of hard for me to tell on the monitor, but I mean, overall, I don't know exactly what's going on with the background, but other than that, beautiful shot.
Great
You lit
personality.
this black dog very well. And to be honest, this doesn't feel like it came from the same photographer because the last one was so unbelievably well executed, and then this one, again, it's a cute moment. He's just kind of laying or sleeping. It's not super amazing, but you're getting low, which is really great because I think a lot of people, when they start photographing dogs, are sort of photographing them from like a standing sort of perspective. And dogs are pretty everyday creatures. We see them all the time. In America, you probably see 10 or 20 dogs a day every day. So they're not completely extraordinary to us. We always see them as we're standing,
From our eye level.
from our eye level, exactly. And so you were kind of looking down on them. So if you really want to engage with the dog and you really want to send home that impact, get on their level, get right down at their eye level. And you're going to see the world from their perspective.
Well, you do the same with children. When you shoot children, what do? You drop down on one knee. You get down to their level.
Make
Right,
them the hero.
Exactly, totally. Make them the star of their own show. And this is like, this person is lower for sure, but not quite low enough because you can see the line of the background. And if you were lower, that line would be like somewhere kind of behind his body if you were like super low. But I mean, what a gorgeous dog, and I love this little moment in his run, so that's pretty darn good. It's not shot in great light. Try to shoot this like just a little bit later in the day or earlier, try sunrise or sunset light, and you're gonna have less of that contrasty shadow stuff going on. He's, really bright in his highlights. Beautiful dog. Again, if you got lower, you might have a bit of a cooler perspective, but it's a great expression, so you've nailed that for sure. It's a great expression. Oh, beautiful. I love the leaves all around this dog. That was beautiful matchup with his fur. He really complements those colors. I like that sometimes if they're not looking, it's totally cool with me. And if you don't have perfect eye contact, it's cool. And this is cool. His eyes are David Bowie. That is beautiful. So beautiful, 2 different colors. And they look sharp. They look beautiful. I love it. Nothing bad I could say about it. I love it. Similar. This is also gorgeous. You've got a great head tilt. Looking super close. I'm not sure if the eyes are crazy sharp, but I really love this dog. I love the moment. He's got a really soft expression. I love the blur in the background. You shot this wide open. Love it. He's maybe slightly borderline too bright in his chest. You can do some curves and add just a tiny bit of contrast. You could even pump the greens like a little bit and just make it really pop. But it's beautiful. You definitely have a grasp on what you're doing. That's for sure.
Yep. All right, we got time for one more.
Okay. Oh, it's so sad. I want to see so many puppies. Oh, I love it.
Keep hitting the wrong thing.
Oh my
Let's
goodness
get back
me.
over here.
I love it.
All right.
Oh my goodness me. What a beautiful dog. The light is fantastic. It's really special. Just, oh my gosh, those little tiny details like the veins in his
in the ears.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's special lighting there.
That really is great lighting, and you get just a few whiskers that are sort of highlighted. I'm all about it. I love it. I don't think it's the world's greatest expression on the dog. I think he's looking distracted or looking down or something. But and again, I get the struggle. They will look at literally anything except for what you need them to look
It's
at.
almost the opposite of what we've seen so far. We've seen great expressions and some technical
Yeah,
issues,
but this is like
the opposite.
perfect technical and yeah.
If you can recreate this light and spend some time getting him to do some amazing expressions, I mean, these are phenomenal.
Yeah,
would be
that's-
amazing.
Beautiful, just beautiful. Oh, that is fabulous.
great.
And just see how it's so different from everything we've seen. It's something that kind of moves us because there's a story to it. You know, you want to know more about what's going on. You see his breath and it looks like it's raining and it's backlit and it's definitely like a storybook. Like I want to read the book that this is on the cover of, you know?
I like how there's just enough edge light to really define the shape.
Yeah,
of the
totally.
dog.
There's like one thing maybe in the background that looks like it could be potentially a sign or something. It's just a
window or
small
something, yep.
highlight. Just remove that so I get more of a sense of, I can, you know, suspend my disbelief a little bit more and think that this is really like in the Arctic somewhere or something. But you totally nailed that. That moves me, you know, that's different. This is cool. I love the bridge, and I love the idea of getting him with the bridge. It looks like some kind of off-camera flash. Watch his paw, obviously, and then, you know, the leash. If you could remove that, would be super ideal. And the thing too is it's hard, you know, when you're on location and you're with a dog and you're like, oh, I have so many things to worry about right now. I have the light and I have, you know, the owner behind me and they're kind of running around freaking out and I've got to deal with my composition and then, oh man, I got to get the dog to look at me. And then, you know, on top of that, you even have to consider where the leash is and how that's looking because sometimes you get the leash in a spot that is like literally impossible to Photoshop out. And this certainly would be a toughie because of the way that it sits in the crook of his arm there. But if you could remove it, it would have a lot more impact.
Just
as far
leash
as
him with some high-test fishing line so it's not in the shot.
yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, and there's definitely, you can use, if you want to bring thin leads to your shoots that you can use, and you ask the owner if they mind if you switch the lead for a minute. You can bring something thin and black or, you know, something a little bit easier that's less chunky than this. I make the mistake all the time of, you know, I let clients use their own leashes and I forget to tell them that I have one of my own, and it's like big and chunky, and it's got this huge hook on it that's like bigger than the dog's chest. And then I'm like, oh man, I have to remove this from like 200 images.
Could you not even just turn the collar and lay the leash behind the dog, perhaps?
Absolutely, yeah. Just be aware. Try to
and
turn
it may be that they're like stepping on the leash
It
here
may
to make
be,
sure they don't
yeah.
leave or whatever. If
It
they're
may
by
be.
Unless you're
themselves.
selling dog leashes,
Yeah.
then leave the leash in the
Yeah, I mean,
And here are a couple more things to think about is just if you would drop down a little bit more,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have the visual tension of this line coming right through the head. Maybe
Sure.
the dog's head could be right in here. And to be honest, I would clone out this light pole right here.
Yeah.
Because it's just dragging
I
your
agree,
eye.
yeah.
And I'd brighten up the dog a little bit because he's the main story.
Somebody
there.
wrote in, this looks like an Ozzy Osbourne album cover. It could be.
and the last one, just real quick. Yeah,
going back.
no worries at all. Just when you're trying to get that, you know, pretty color in the sky and the big skies and that sort of thing, and it looks like you're using light, just try to find really wide open sky, something really clear, because you can see, you know, when you get a tree in there or a couple branches sticking in, it really detracts from the bigger picture. Obviously, the bridge is really cool, and I know you wanted that there. That's the purpose of that being there, and that's totally okay. But see if you can find a spot where you get nothing but the bridge and just the sky behind the dog, and you know it'll be like gold. It's, you know, a little distracting with the trees.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, love the red background. That is super cool.
This is the first one I've seen today. I could almost call it a commercial shot.
Yeah, for
can see
sure.
this is used as an
yeah,
ad or
and
something.
again, it's like a silly expression. It's a great moment. It sort of evokes something.
Well, and
makes
this
you
is
feel
kind of like
something.
when you were talking about that black dog earlier. If you'd put the black dog on a colored background, this
sure.
would be ideal.
Absolutely. I mean, this Boston Terrier looks perfect against red. I mean, it's brilliant, and his wonky eyes are like just so beautiful. Everything about this dog I love, and the red totally works. I love the pop of color. I love his expression. I think it's pretty darn well lit. I think that his left eye, okay, excuse me, it's left to me, but it would be his right eye is super sharp, and the other one is barely out of focus. So if I was being nitpicky, then I would say, you know, try to nail the focus on both eyes, but just love it. You have a really good sense of, you know, what's different and what's compelling. And, you know, the dog photography is something that you've got that really traditional look in dog photography that you see over and over again. So try to think outside the box, you know, and you're definitely thinking outside the box. You're definitely creating something that's really different, and that's beautiful. That's really gonna get you noticed, you know, that's gonna get you somewhere.
Well, that's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, we've got loads more that we could talk about, but we're going to need to wrap this up. A couple things that we need to do housekeeping-wise. We've got a Peach Pit e-deal for this week, and it's 40% off The Road to Seeing by Dan Winters. Dan Winters is one of my favorite photographers, amazing guy. This book is incredible, and you can get 40% off if you go to peachpit.com/Kelby. Am I doing that right? Peach Pit / Kelby.
Kelby One.
Kelby One, thank you. And you want to put in your I don't read, and you want to put in your coupon code of Kelby One to get 40% off. And finally, we have a 1-year Kelby One membership for only $169 and get a free book, the Best of Scott's Digital Photography book, right there. You get that, and it says maybe you should show a copy while we're talking about the offer. Now, this one's only for the next couple days, so you want to jump on this, but you can check it out. You can get it for $139. This is on Wednesday. I believe it ends Friday, October 3rd at midnight Eastern Standard Time. You will want to go to kelby1.com/redeem, REDEEM, and then you're going to enter the code OCTPROMO, OCTPROMO, to add the offer to your
Why
cart.
did they just put this as a lower third?
Yep. So anyway, but you can get that deal. Check it out. If you've got any questions, send them to Corey. I'll give you his phone number afterwards. Finally, we're going to give away these 2 books. Scott's The Best of Digital Photography book series, and How Do I Do That in Lightroom. 2 great books that we have here. And the way you're going to do that is you're simply going to go to kelby1.com. Go find the show, The Grid, put in your name, any other information you want that we can track you down, and you will be eligible to be in the random drawing for those 2 books. And we thank you so much for being with us this week. I hope you've enjoyed Kaylee. You're down here, you're doing interviews, you're doing some other stuff. We've got some neat projects coming your way with her. Hopefully you've enjoyed her. Thank you so much for being here.
You just did an inspirational interview with Mia this morning. So
Yeah,
that'll
it
be
was
up
amazing.
the next couple weeks. So yeah,
It was so cool. I'm so grateful to be here, and everybody who sent your photos in, thank you so much. That was so cool for me to be able to take a look at those, and it just inspires me so much to see other people, kind of in the
really
field
great stuff,
working
yeah,
really hard
really,
at it too, So thank you so much for having me. This is the coolest experience. I'm so grateful.
Well, and the neat thing is you can see that her thing has developed because of passion. And that's the thing we keep trying to reiterate is get inspired, get passionate about something, and dive into it, and you'll be able to just develop into ways you never imagined. And look at these gorgeous, look at that lighting, the coloring.
Thank you.
Phenomenal stuff. So make sure you check her out. That's Dog Breath Photography. It's all singular, no plural there. Dog Breath Photography, Kaylee Greer. And book her especially if you're in the Boston area, book her to come and take some pictures of your animals. And we thank you so much. Where else can they find you besides Dog Breath Photography?
I am on Instagram. I'm Dog Breath Photography on Instagram. On Facebook.com/DogBreathPhoto. I'm on Twitter too, although guys, I really don't know how to use it. I can't condense my thoughts to little tiny snippets. It's really hard for me. I'm such a talker. But I am on there. I'm Dog Breath Photo on there. And those I have blog, dogbreathblog.com. I'm all over the place. Just Google me.
And you also didn't you do a guest blog for Scott?
I did. Yeah, I did.
So you could go back and check that out as well.
showed
That
some-
came back in May. I think May 27th or something like that was the.
Yeah, I showed some before and afters on my edits, and so you can kind of see some leash removals and some different things.
There's
that I
actually
did
a
behind
picture
the
up there
scenes.
of her gear, and the peanut butter's in there.
Yeah, peanut butter's in there.
Among the many
Totally.
things, the peanut butter
Nice.
jar is in
Big
there.
part of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Kaylee, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It's been a pleasure, and I hope
you.
that, and I know a lot of people have really enjoyed
I hope
hearing
so.
your stuff, and hopefully you've inspired them to do even
I
more
hope
stuff.
so.
Corey,
Yeah.
Yes.
it's just been okay with you.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's just okay. But
I mean,
we're tired of each
Keep
other.
an eye on
by
the
now.
chat, I'm just here to look pretty.
You do a great job. Guys, thank you so much for being with us. Scott and RC should be back here next week, and we hope to see you here as well, right here on The Grid. Take care. Bye-bye.